What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. Guys, we're taking a look today at the Toronto Maple Leafs. In terms of what could they potentially do this summer to their blue line? Could they potentially trade Morgan Rielly? We'll be taking a look at that in this video. So, guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs had a rough season. Let's just say. I mean, yes, the regular season, great. At the end of the day, what are we going to remember about the 2021 Toronto Maple Leafs? Is they got pretty much dismantled in games 5, 6, and 7 of their first round matchup against the Montreal Canadiens. And everybody's going to bring up, okay, well, there's a couple excuses. You lost basically $16 million in two players in terms of Freddie Anderson being on the bench because he wasn't good enough. And then you have John Tavares, who had that freakish injury in game 1. There's $11 million. That's $16 million potentially in guys that just bye-bye. See you later. In terms of a cap-restrained team where Dubas all season for the past 2 years has been bringing guys up and down to stay under the salary cap, all to have an injury like that. And I think what we're seeing from the Leafs is Dubas and Shanahan. The Shanahan plan is still on course. They're going to stick with their top guys, Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and William Nylander. And he said that all along. Does that narrative change at some point? It doesn't seem like this is the year. Now, again, we've heard crazy things. We've heard rumors that Subban was going to get traded out of Montreal. A couple days later, Bergevin says we're never going to trade. We haven't talked about trading Subban. A couple weeks later, he ends up in New Jersey. So, or in Nashville. So, all that stuff, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But I don't think there's going to be a ton of talk. And now that time has moved on, if they could even find a way to trade Mitch Marner, would you trade him for the low value that he's at right now? It doesn't make sense for the Leafs. They're going to stick with their guys, and they have to at this point. So now the question is, well, now because of the salary, you have $40 million locked up in 4 guys. Well, how do you spread it out through the rest of the team? Well, you have Morgan Rielly, who has 1 year left at $5 million on his contract. He signed that deal a couple years ago. And in the summer of 2022, he will be an unrestricted free agent. Now, he's 27 years old, going into his prime. You can assume that right now he's looking to get his big contract. Because let's be honest, this will probably be his last contract. So let's say he's going to be 28 next summer. He could be looking to get anywhere, I would think, between $6 and $7 million in his next contract. He is that good of a defenseman, if not even more, on the open market if he wanted to go to, say, Seattle or maybe another team, Detroit. Who knows, right? So there's going to be interest. If he wants to take the money, he can grab that bag next summer and run. But remember, there's also going to be other guys in that class as well. Guys like Braden Point could be available. Guys like Seth Jones, who are seemingly more and more likely to hit the open market. So he will not be the only guy in that market. But again, 35 points in 55 games this season as a defenseman might fetch you some money next year. He also has 3 points in 7 games this Yoffs. He did play quite well in that series against the Habs, but again, the whole team kind of fell apart. So now the question is, so we're talking about them trading Morgan Rielly. First thing, can they replace a guy like Morgan Rielly on the blue line? I think some people could argue that they could. Rasmus Sandin. Can Rasmus Sandin step up to the plate and become that top 4 defenseman that could replace Morgan Rielly? Now, I'm not saying he is Morgan Rielly right now, but you're going off of the future. And that is a little bit of concern. Excuse me. When you have a Leafs team that wants to win right now. But again, they haven't won a playoff series with this current group. Excuse me, man. Apologies for that. They have not been able to win a playoff series with this current core. So they move on from Morgan Rielly. They replace him with Rasmus Sandin. And that $5 million you're able to spend on maybe keeping a guy like Zach Hyman or adding to your bottom 6. That may be the difference between whether they keep Zach Hyman or not and keeping guys like Jason Spezza and, dare I even say, even adding to that bottom 6. So that could be a huge difference for them. Now the next question is, all right, so now money aside, what's the value they could get for Morgan Rielly? Now we remember they traded Kasperi Kapanen, which probably would be a similar type deal. You could probably look at least getting a first-round pick and probably a high-end prospect. That's kind of what they got from the Kapanen deal. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that's the price tag. And you got to think this is a win-win for the Leafs because you're able to get some draft capital, you get a first-round pick, and you get a prospect, which they could use in the lineup as soon as the next year or two, which is very important on an entry-level deal. Again, saves money that way. And you're also able to move on salary right now, which the Leafs desperately need. So the question is, are they going to do it? Do they have it in them to trade Morgan Rielly? And if you're not getting rid of a guy like Mitch Marner, probably not William Nylander. So if you're not getting rid of those guys, well, what else do you get rid of? And I hate to say it, you can only have so many $4, $5, $6 million contracts on your team, especially when you have a couple $11 million deals on the team. So it makes things difficult. It gets it to a point where the Leafs have to decide who goes. And I hate to say it, do you really want to subtract from the blue line? Probably not your first option, but we're seeing some of the guys step up. Will Timothy Liljegren maybe step in next year? That's seemingly more unlikely as the days go by, but maybe next year he gets that opportunity. And Rasmus Sandin, who didn't play a lot in this Stanley Cup playoffs here, maybe he gets a much bigger role next year. And is that something the Leafs really want to force on the Sandin? Probably not. But at this point, with the salary that they've spent and everything else and the amount of pressure, they may have no choice. So guys, Leaf fans around the league, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What should the Toronto Maple Leafs do with this situation here with Morgan Rielly? Because I think it's kind of gotten to a point where you don't want to trade Morgan Rielly. You don't want to take away from anything from that defensive corps, but you may have to if it involves keeping the big four on this team. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.